Hello and welcome to the Life Prosperity Acceleration Summit. My name is Joseph Aduwa. I'm your host today. And today I have a wonderful guest who's going to be sharing his tremendous insights, expertise, knowledge, and wisdom with us. And this is Steve Farrell. He is the co-founder of Humanity's Team and is also co-founded that with Neil Donald Walsh. He is, let me start again.
Sure.
Let me start again. Hello and welcome. My name is Joseph Aduwa, and this is the You, Me, We Harmony Life Prosperity Acceleration Summit. I'm here today with a wonderful, wonderful guest. His name is Steve Farrell, and he is the co-founder of Humanity's Team with Neil Donald Walsh. He has previously been the co-founder of two high-growth technology companies, which were based in Silicon Valley, and this was in the 1990s. And this has spanned the areas of both the United States and Europe. And since that time, he's had extensive experiences which have led him to do what he's doing now, which is really to help spread more conscious awareness within humanity of our capacities as spiritual beings and what that means in the way of being able to release limitations in order to experience the best life that we can for ourselves, and of course to ripple that out to benefit other people within our immediate local family, loved ones, community, and of course the global planet itself. So thank you very much, Steve, for being here with us today. It's an honor and it's a pleasure. And what I'd like to ask, really, just to get started as a bit of a foundation, is given the significance of the background that you've had, which has really been deeply rooted in technology, what was one of the significant factors for you which led you to do what you're doing now, which is really at the leading edge when it comes to helping people to be in a state of spiritual empowerment and access those capacities which will allow them to live a more fulfilled life?
Well, thanks for having me. It's my pleasure to be here, Joseph.
Thank you.
Uh, these things that I was doing in Silicon Valley, you mentioned I co-founded these companies in the 1990s. I was in the right time at the right place as this whole internet revolution, this data communications, connect everything revolution was happening. And so we co-founded and then grew two technology companies very rapidly. And so in the process of that, of learning how to hire, recruit people, create an inspiring culture, chase after targets that we were creating. Some of them were revenue targets. Other targets had to do with helping a local high school that really needed our help.
Right.
Doing good things in the world. So we were pretty conscious. Actually, I'd say very conscious for a company in the 1990s as we were scaling these companies, and that was a lot of what attracted the top talent to our organization, because some of the biggest organizations, Apple, Cisco Systems, The Gap, Esprit, Levi's, many other companies like that were located right near us, and they were hiring to the same profile that we were hiring.
Right.
But we created a conscious culture that was exciting and that could not only attract top talent, but retain that top talent and grow quite rapidly. Now why I left Silicon Valley is in many ways, it was a training ground for me to learn the skills of conscious recruiting and conscious leading. I could see that with the world at this in the shape that it's in now, and of course here we are in 2020. This was in the 1990s. Even in the 1990s, I could look out my window and feel into a lot of the challenges that we have today. Climate change, lack of job training in many cases, so that there's not upward mobility for young, bright people all over the world, income inequality, and on and on. These things were going on then. And I went through my own conscious awakening process and learning the skills of living consciously and also working consciously. And I could see that in many ways I was playing a kid's game, just growing these companies to both of them to 75 million, and one in 10 years, and another one in 2 years. It was a kid's game to just be, even though the companies were doing good things, there was limited impact that I could have as an entrepreneur.
Right.
And so I realized that the most important thing that I could do was to join with people like you, Joseph. There are people, your viewers here, who are conscious, people that are conscious all over the world, who can see that there's a lot we can do. First, we can become conscious ourselves. That's the first step. So I
Yes.
became conscious myself, and then the next step is to join with others. In my case, as you mentioned, I joined with Neil Donald Walsh. We co-founded Humanity's Team in June 2003, and then I've got all these peers, partners from all over the world that have come in over the years. We're 17 years old, to join with us, so that we can offer people tools to live consciously. We have three focuses that are really all converging. They're quite similar. They're supportive of each other. The first one, supporting people on their conscious journey.
Right.
The second one, creating planetary awakening. And the third one, then creating flourishing at every level of life, in our personal life, in our home, with our family, in the community, at work, globally. So these are the things that we're doing in Humanity's Team. And so I went from being I'll call it an unconscious leader in the early 1990s when I started my first company, to becoming quite conscious during the 1990s, selling all of these businesses that I was involved in, leaving these business organizations, leaving Silicon Valley. I'm in Boulder, Colorado now, in order to partner with these incredible people that are very passionate, very talented all over the world, who were devoted to supporting people on their conscious journey. So it's kind of a U-turn here. And I have to say that when we talk about prosperity or abundance or a dream, in the United States they call it the American dream, it's really, it's a different dream. It's a different prosperity. It's real prosperity. It's real abundance that we enjoy, that are the fruit of being on this conscious journey. It's a mirage, just briefly, because I want to close and not go too long, but where we're chasing the old American dream that's just about materiality, that's just a mirage. Because you get to some target of, oh, this level of financial prosperity, and then what happens is it's not here. It's I need to double it. I can't be happy here. I'm going to double it. I'm going to get, then I'll be happy.
Right.
And you know what happens? You double it. Oh no, it's not here. I need to double it again. So there's no, in what is called the old American dream.
Right. Yeah. So literally one of the main things amongst all of the things which are pertinent that you conveyed is that the element of consciousness is fundamental to any level of fulfillment, as opposed to, as you were expressing about the American dream, the old way, which is that you have a target and then your intent is to achieve it. And then when you arrive, then you still feel that sense of emptiness, so to speak. So given that you've gone through such an intensive kind of U-turn and you've really delved deep into the technology aspects of things, what would you say at this point is important for people to be aware of when it comes to the influences that they are surrounded by, which they may be taking on board in terms of accepting for themselves, which can potentially limit them in their abilities to experience things which are more fulfilling for them?
This is a really important question, because I use this term U-turn. So in this U-turn that has been my life, which I think in many ways is the conscious journey for all of us, there's this top of the U where we're out, maybe perhaps being extremely successful, creating financial prosperity. But we realize that this is, I'm calling it a kid's game. So then we we release a lot of things. We sell these companies, we leave these business associations. I left Silicon Valley, where money was more the altar, to come to Boulder, Colorado, where it really is more about conscious living. So there's a lot of release before there's all of this receipt of new friends, of new partners, of a new forms of organization that are conscious. So what's really important is our own spiritual practice, first of all, which can consist of many things. So for me, I do have what I call immersive prayer that's very powerful for me. It's about 15 to 20 minutes every morning, but it's a lot more than just that. I listen to spiritual music most of the day. My office right here, I'm looking out a window at nature that is where I feel deeply connected, where I'm in this space where I can feel communion with nature, even with the divine. We're in humanities team. We talk about the oneness as the divine and emanation of the divine, offspring of the divine. Though some people prefer other terms: universe, love, cosmos. Doesn't matter. The earth, consciousness. Doesn't matter. We can pick our term that we resonate with, but the key element is that we're all deeply interrelated, interconnected, and interdependent. And this is why even over millennia, they actually say we're all one. So this deep interconnection, it's like banyan roots, where there's this weave, right? And we're just everything, including the earth herself and the animal kingdom and each person, that we're actually deeply interconnected. And that and then there's this whole cosmos, actually, which is beyond just the earth and the world, that we're deeply interconnected with. So my own process, my own spiritual practices are keeping me in this place of flow, of connection, of communion with the one, so that I'm not just, like right now, I'm not just a talking head where I'm just articulating words. Hopefully you can feel there's more than, I'm not just mouthing words.
Absolutely.
A spiritual practice affects our being state. We come into this fruitful being state where it's a blessing to be alive. Hooray, another day. Hooray that I can be in service. Hooray that I work with neat people, and hooray for my family and my home. The hoorays keep going. So now, Joseph, you were bringing in other things as well, other influences. And so the family and the friends and the coworkers and things that we surround ourselves with, these are very influential too. It can make it, I'm blessed in that I've been on this journey with humanities team for 17 years. I've surrounded myself with these beautiful, devoted, talented people who are very loving, and our culture is very loving, very supportive, and where there's gratitude for each other. Wow, you have so many gifts. Thank you. Now that's in stark contrast to, remember, I came from Silicon Valley. I was actually hanging out even with venture capital people. Let me just say, that's not what that world is like in general today.
Right.
One day, maybe, not so much today. So this is another thing, discernment then, of how are we spending our day to just be conscious ourselves, to be in the being state that we want to be in, and who are we surrounding ourselves with? Who are we working with? What are we focused on? In humanities team, it's this just creating flourishing and planetary awakening and supporting people that are saying, I'm feeling into this consciousness. I'm feeling some new things. I feel maybe more whole. My being state feels like it's being elevated. So these are all things that we're focused on. We want to support people because we believe this heaven on earth thing is real, that flourishing where we can create communities and countries and a whole world that's really in a living a beautiful, high quality, elevated life that's purposeful, that's meaningful. We believe that that's possible, and that's what we're focused on here, and that we can create that in this lifetime, which is a pretty bold statement, but we believe it's true, and we believe it's actually happening as we speak.
That's tremendous. It's tremendous. And in terms of the things that you were conveying about the importance of your surroundings and your focus of attention, would you say that when people open themselves up to receiving the types of focused, heart centered, focused attention from other people, would you say that in some cases that can facilitate um, situations or opportunities which otherwise they may not have access to if
Yes,
they're
for
closed in?
sure. And we're vulnerable. When we're opening our hearts and we're surrounded by people opening our hearts. There's a vulnerability, um, which means that if we're not surrounded by really mature, loving, service-oriented people, our heart uh, can be challenged too, which is and uh, and we there's going to be some of that in all of our lives. Even as I'm working with these amazing coworkers and things, I'm out in the world, and I certainly come across things where I see people in tremendous pain and tremendous challenge with COVID, where there are even life and death situations going on, and where in some cases it's secular, where there's not the awareness that there's no such thing as death. See, I don't believe that there's any such thing as death. I'll leave my body, sure, at some point, but I'm an eternal being. That's part of what this whole conscious journey is where we understand that the divine or the one's properties are our own, that we have eternal life, we have unlimited capacities and potential. And so I'm going to leave my body, and that's not a terrible thing. All of the time that I'm here in my body, I'm saying, hooray, another day in service. Yeah, so when I leave my body, I'll miss the people that are dear and close to me. And I have two teenagers. I'm happily married, and have great coworkers, and you miss people. But in terms of dying, I'm not afraid of dying. Some people are, so um, yeah, opening our heart. There's a lot of treasure in it, where there are these people that and animals. I have a pet that I love dearly, nature.
Yeah,
So where you just let in all of this amazing love. And then also we are vulnerable, and there are things that will come across that can be challenging. But this, as I perceive it, this is part of the conscious journey is just staying in this place of this, so that it's such deep connection that even when somebody's yelling at you, somebody hates you, somebody despises you, that when we're really deeply in our conscious journey, we're just sort of like a duck, where it's just, we hear it, but instead of taking that in a personal way, we're more looking at the person and saying, God, this person is experiencing so much pain. And
right,
we actually feel compassion of, gee,
right.
this person is really in a painful state. So it's not taking our energy down. We can still remain in a high energy even when something like that is going.
Right. I see. Yes. And so in this in that with saying that, I guess it would be a case of it's important for people to recognize that we are all on a journey, and we will have challenges at points potentially, and it's a case of being in that centered state of compassion for self. Does that Would you say that it's important to have that um, kind of softness towards self, not to be so um, kind of judgmental or kind of strict upon oneself when it comes to um, the ways of expressing, and let's say if there are certain things that are desired, and if those things don't come to pass in the ways that were desired, then sometimes people can maybe have a tendency to really be quite hard on themselves. Would you say, is it important for people to be a bit more gentle with themselves when it comes to these types of experiences as they're on their journey.
Absolutely. This is another crucial one. There are people that devote their whole lives to just this because it's so foundational. Louise Hay, who started Hay House, who left her physical body, this was her whole mission in life. Was self-love, of just being compassionate with yourself, of loving fully yourself, of where we truly understand that we are sons and daughters, offspring of the divine, of the one, of the cosmos. Where stardust is our being state, our being stuff, and where we really get that we're that exalted, you know. Uh, we can sit up straight, we can be walk tall, we can know, I mean, that uh, we're princes and princesses
Yes.
of the
Yes.
Most High, is who we really are.
Yeah.
And one of the things that when we talk about this conscious journey in humanities team is we say we don't need to concentrate on being perfect or even excellent all the time.
Right.
You know, because if we put that on ourselves of no, we got to be perfect, we got
Mm.
to be perfect. Well, how attainable is that? You know.
Right.
So what happens is we just push away any goodness that we can be because we're putting something on ourselves that we shouldn't be trying to carry that load.
Right.
Now, by contrast, if we know who we really are, princes and princesses of the Most High, and if we then devote ourselves to the one, because we're a part of the one, right? It's just like so in unconscious living, there's a family. So I'm married, I have 2 kids. In unconscious living, it's all about my family, right? It's this Newtonian, Darwinian thing of I'm going to go out and get treasure and bring it all back to my family. I'm going to take very good care of my wife and my 2 kids. And, you know, it's a shame the rest of the world's in the shape that it's in, but what can one person do? Now, when we're conscious, we move those fence posts all the way out. Everybody is a part of our family. The earth is, the animal kingdom is. We're connected to all of it. And what happens when we're connected? When we're connected, responsibility kicks in. There's a certain responsibility here to do the very best we can, which then creates positive action, right? Where we're going to take some positive action and do the things we can to support this world and this earth and this humanity that's
Right.
around us.
Mhm.
It's things that we naturally do when we're conscious and we're breathing into that place of the one all day long. So we'll do good things. We'll have a great day. We're in service. We're going to feel fantastic. And these things then that you're talking about, Joseph, of being too hard on yourself, of, uh, of feeling depressed, feeling super challenged, not feeling empowered. These things will dissolve. These things will go away, especially if we're not trying to be perfect and we're just saying, I'm going to do my very best. I am devoted to this. I'm gonna give this day my very best. And where I do something that's a little bit out, well, you know, I'm learning still. It's a journey. You know, we're heading to a destination,
Right.
and I'm going to do my best to get as I'm journeying in that direction.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess one of the other things which really strikes me is that with what you've been conveying is when you do just allow yourself to acknowledge that you are from the divine, and then is it the case that, how is it that you're able to in some cases experience a shift in your sense of yourself and the beliefs that you may have and so-called like sense of identity? Is there something that happens which kind of facilitates some sort of a shift in people which allows for them to potentially experience things which are more life affirming, so to speak? What is it that's going on within the beliefs of people who find themselves in really challenging situations, as opposed to those people who find themselves in joyous and life affirming situations where they're continuing to, like, they have challenges, but then they're continuing to grow as those challenges present themselves. What's going on within the individuals? What impacts them? What is it that's determining those kind of external situations in terms of how do the beliefs work and stuff?
Well, let me say, first of all, that for many of us, I'm sure many viewers right here, right now, this, what we call new human, or Barbara Marx Hubbard called it Homo Universalis, where we were journeying from Homo sapien to Homo Universalis, which is the new human.
Mm-hmm.
This universal self is another term that's thrown around. For many of us, we're there, or mostly there. And how do we know? Now, how we know is there's not an ego thing where we don't need it to be our idea. We don't need to be right. Where there's more of a humility, because we know that these things that we're doing, our gifts, are actually, flowing through us.
Right.
Because that's what this whole emanation of the divine, of the one thing is, the ideas, the guidance, the support, all of the boomerang effect, all these beautiful things coming back. These are all from that are a part of being one. So we're not walking around kind of pounding our chest, because it wasn't our original idea. It was the universe, the divine,
Mm-hmm.
brought it to us. So we're humble. We tend to be in this higher vibration state. We don't need to be right. So these are some of the kinds of things that we'll feel where we're in this universal self place, and our role then is to maintain that and to support others that are on the journey. Now, where we're not experiencing that, and where we're still in a place of I want to be right, and I want to, and you want to feel competitive with people and stuff, and where you get angry, you find yourself triggered with some frequency. Okay, so now we're in a place on the journey where we're still really acquiring tools for conscious living. Okay. And there are amazing courses that we can take. We offer, by the way, many free masterclasses in Humanities Team. If you go to humanitiesteam.org, at the top it says masterclasses, and then click down and it says free, and then you'll see all these free masterclasses. So there are many, though, not just in Humanities Team, all over the world, many educational programs and retreats and seminars and things and books that are very valuable, that support people on their conscious journey. And then I find, whether we're wherever we are, being in service, where we just think out beyond our small self into our larger self, where we're just giving back, we're doing things that are supporting a neighbor, supporting your wife or your husband, supporting your kids, supporting your pet, supporting your coworkers. The more that we're in this place of giving, that also is very uplifting. We will come into a higher frequency state simply by doing those things. And then paying attention to our being state, where we're in a being state of gratitude, of understanding that we're, princes and princesses of the one, and where we're in service, we're just understanding gifts are coming to us all the time. And it's this is, I'm now getting into the metaphysical. Metaphysical also says, where we're stuck in a place of victimhood of why do bad things always happen to me? Why am I always sick? Why are people treating me terribly? Unfortunately, we've got to really do some work to elevate ourselves and to come out of that place. And I have people in my life who are like that. And you just want to be loving with them and supportive of them, and doing everything you can to share ideas and thoughts and processes and spiritual experiences that can help to elevate them, so that they can come out of that and not be kind of sitting under a rain cloud, as it were.
Right. I see. Yeah. So with that, in terms of when people are going through those types of experiences where they may be not so in the state of clarity or centeredness or harmony, how is it that people who are in a state of harmony and centeredness and kind of have a practice of being in that way, how is it that they're able to impact somebody else and in some cases help them to really shift more quickly? How does that happen? What's going on in that kind of situation?
Let me tell you the story of in the 1990s, what happened to me that kind of gets to your question, Joseph, in where I was making this decision of I'm a technology entrepreneur making a fortune financially and leaving it. What happened to me is I came to this place one day in the 1990s where I said, okay, uh, there are two possibilities here, and they both can't be right. One is that I'm born to my parents. My name is Steve Farrell. I've got this one life that I'm living, and I'm going to just go get as much treasure. The American dream. I'm going to go start companies. I'm going to go make a bunch of money. I'm going to, buy homes and vacations and cars and all that stuff,
Mhm.
and create treasure. And another possibility is that I'm actually offspring of the divine. I'm on an eternal journey, that I've had many, many lives, that I have many other lives ahead of me, that I have unlimited potential. The divine's properties are mine. That's what it means to say we're offspring of the divine. So, and in this latter one, that if the latter one is true, then in my eternal journey, I'm here for that long. That's it. Just one teeny little life is all that I'm living right now on my eternal journey, because there are hundreds and hundreds and thousands of lives. Um, and even that I'm um, this gets into the aspect of that there are multiple lives even that we are in now. I don't want to try and get into that, but so I decided that it was the second one that was true. This first one wasn't true. It was the second one, and so if the second one is true, then my whole self-identification changes.
Right.
This is where, you're reborn, you're something new. You, we can put different terms on this, but you're fundamentally, you self-realize that we're not at all this thing that we grew up thinking that we were. And so to your question of where we're, how, what our being state is during the day and how we're working with others and how people are impacting us and all of these things, where I'll call it self-realize, uh, and self-realize is this notion of where the divine is within me, that I'm one of there's 7 billion faces of the divine here, and that's just in
Right.
humanity. Then you add the animal kingdom and the earth, all these billions and
Yeah.
billions of faces of the divine, right? But I'm one of them. Um, it's, self-realize is a good word, or born new, or feeling new, or as Barbara says, I'm new, Barbara Marx Hubbard. Um, we are something new. It's a completely different self-identification, the way we sleep, the way we walk around during the day, the way we are with others, our own, where to me, this is now the whole Darwinian Newtonian thing of just getting treasure and bringing it back to my family. It just explodes that. Now, the real fruit is like what we're doing right now. You and I are talking. We're talking about conscious living. Our whole objective is just maybe there's a tool or two in this conversation that could support viewers. And this is what makes my heart sing of hooray, where we can do things that are supporting each other, and people supporting me, I'm supporting them. That's where the real fruit is. It's just a whole way of living on the earth. It's a whole way of being open-hearted, a whole way of seeing who we are, a whole way of worldview, of seeing who others are, of seeing what the earth is, etc. So
Right.
This is the conscious journey that we're talking about, and it's incredibly fruitful when we really get clear on what the journey is and how we can be. I'm going to call it in service, because that's where the real fruit is, where we're in service.
Right. Okay. So that really sounds like it's a case of people having some sort of an expanded awareness of themselves so that they are able to conduct themselves in ways that are more in harmony, I guess, and as you use the word in service, and so it's like recognizing the self in others in that sense, acknowledging that we are different facets of one. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. A beautiful thing. So, for example, um, what kind of experiences have you seen in terms of what have you witnessed with regards to um, people having shifts in their life experience really quickly when they adopt these ways of beings? What kind of things have you experienced and come across with people that you work with?
So many, yeah, so many. Because from humanities team, we're working with many of the authors and the speakers who uh, are really substantial in this whole conscious space. So let me give you one example, though I could give you 100.
Yeah.
So one is Anita Morjani. We work with Anita Morjani. We do something called the Global Oneness Summit. It's October 24 is Global Oneness Day every year. We just celebrated our 11th Global Oneness Day, and over 200,000 people participated over the 8-day program. Now, Anita participated. She shared the story of her own life unfolding during this year's summit, and she shared that uh, she was in the hospital dying of lymphoma. It was terminal. It was stage 4 cancer, and she was told to just prepare yourself for the end. And and then she actually passed away. She went, across that light tunnel that so many of us have heard about, where people talk about these near-death experiences. And she went to the other side, where she was made clear, where she was visibly and in every realm of sensing, made clear that she was divine. Everything is divine. All these things that Joseph, you and I are talking about here, that we're actually emanations of the divine.
Hmm.
And there's no such thing as illness. There's no such thing as disease. As we know, when we're in this highest vibrational state, we actually can't get sick. Though we shouldn't be hard on ourselves. I get sick from time to time. So this is where we don't need to be perfect, right?
Uh-huh.
But where we're in the highest vibrational state, we actually can't have illness or disease. And so all of these things became known to her in the moment as she was on the other side. And then she was told, you've got a couple opportunities here. You can go back, and you can be a messenger of this, and live, survive the stage 4 end of your life cancer, or you could stay here. And she chose to come back, and she came back into her body, opened her eyes. The doctors were all, holy cow, what is this? And
Wow.
with lymphoma, she had this cancer of metastasized and was all over her organs and her body. And over a period of weeks, it just all melted away. It just all went away. The cancer completely melted away. Anita Morjani, you could go to her website to learn more about her, because she came back with understanding I am a part of the divine, that there's no such thing as illness or disease. And just her simple being state healed all of it. A truly miraculous story. And now she writes books, she gives lectures, retreats, does seminars where she's out sharing this. And she shares, look, the most important thing, she discussed this during our Global Oneness Summit this year. She said, the most important thing isn't even to just try and be uplifting or inspiring to people, though that's good. But the most important thing is to know that you are a face, an expression, an embodiment of the divine. That's who you are. There's an authenticity to you that is nowhere in all of the cosmos except for within you. And so just to bring through this, just bring straight through your expression, your embodiment, your truth, your love, bring that straight through. That's the most important thing, she says. And she says, I got that from the other side. And so she's now out as in a mission to share this with people all over the world.
So that's tremendous, because it's from what you conveyed, it's like by embracing that level of identity and embodying, accepting it, that it completely transformed her physical life experience. And given that that's the entire theme and focus of what you're doing at Humanity's team, it, it it strikes me that it really is at this point in time very important for people to allow themselves and be open to receiving the kind of wisdom and guidance and tools that you are providing, which are helping people to really have that kind of level of like shift in their awareness of themselves. And so what would you say to people who may feel kind of like isolated in these times, and who may feel that they're in a bit of a stuck situation, not knowing like solutions to some of the challenges that they may be experiencing? What would you say to these people, given the tremendous like potentials that we all potentially have, as you've expressed, as we are the unique princes and princesses of the One?
Yeah, I would say find community. So, because Joseph, there, as you know, there are many people now on the conscious journey. We're pioneers. This is not the prevalent way of living on the earth yet, though I believe it will be. But at this point, this stage of our conscious evolution journey, we're pioneers, which then means that many of our coworkers, perhaps, and even people in our home, perhaps, our neighbors, etc., are not going to be conscious. So you could very well feel alone in this, not affirmed, not supported, that you're not really receiving the nurturing that you want. So finding community can be a crucial thing. There are many uh, communities that are conscious, and if you do a little Googling and talking with friends near where you live, you can find these conscious communities. We have one in Humanity's team. So we're a nonprofit also. We're the you'll see when you if you come to our website, Humanity's Team with a Y, humanitesteam.org. We're a global nonprofit. We're the largest global nonprofit in transformational education, and we have something called Community Circle. We have something called Humanity Stream. We have these free courses. We're doing programs all the time, including free programs where people can come in and feel each other, um, feel the energy of each other, and feel the energy of this conscious journey. We're actually doing a live program tonight. It's with it involves Barbara Marx Hubbard's her uh, biggest program that she put together at the end of her life. And her she passed about a year and a half ago. Her daughter that will be with us, Suzanne Hubbard, and it's glorious. We're all together sharing about this conscious journey. All the things that we're talking about here now, that Joseph and I are discussing, are a part of the call, and you can feel the energy of each other and the journey and things that we're going to focus on next week and the week after that, and so on. And it can be very uplifting, very nurturing. So I would say that don't go it alone. Find some partners, some people that are also on this conscious journey that can nurture and support you. And of course, you'll nurture and support them too.
Yes, yes, that's tremendous. That's tremendous. I find that yeah, particularly at these times, that it's very important for people to be around other people who are more embracing of the, as you're expressing, the kind of divinity and that level of just being and expressing and being of service to one another. And one of the things that I'd like to ask is, So um, there are going to be many people who are naturally drawn to want to find out more about humanity's team. And so, what are some of the things that they can find on the site?
So Humanities Team, as I mentioned, we're a nonprofit, a global nonprofit. So what that means, why that's important is when we're a for-profit, of course, there you have shareholders that own the equity of the company, and often there are sales targets and there are profit goals and things, revenue goals. And there's as the business grows, there are people that are financially enriched. Now, as a nonprofit, we have no shareholders. We don't we're here for a different reason. It's not to coin money. That's not why we're here. All of our money is going to support this community. In fact, this is our 17th year, and this is the first year where I'm starting to draw income. But for 16 and a half years, I've been a volunteer. And true for most of my partners also, either no income or minimal income. So, because we're not here to financially enrich ourselves. Though as we're growing now, there's more and more pickup in our programs, and we can start to draw at least small salaries. Um, but so the focus is important, and you'll feel that in the energy of the organization. If it's a nonprofit, you're not going to be hearing, "Oh, and buy this, and then go buy that, and buy this." That's not why we're here, you know.
Right. Yeah.
So now, the Global Oneness Summit is one of the things that we do. We created Global Oneness Day in 2010. We went to the United Nations.
Hmm.
The United Nations told us to create a Global Oneness Day. We call it our Earth Day for an awakened humanity, and it's free. It was 8 days this year. Next year it'll be 9 days, I think. It's free. If you go to globalonenesssummit.org, globalonenesssummit.org, or just Google Global Oneness Day, you'll go and you can register for free. Also, you can go to humanitiesteam.org with a Y, and just read down the page. There are a lot of things we do. We send out a blog for free every Friday. In fact, our email list is free, and then you'll be kept in touch with all the stuff we're doing. So every Friday, we send out a free um, podcast that we do, which we just, this last one was with Neil Donald Walsh, and the week before that, it was with Barbara Marks Hubbard. So interesting, thoughtful, supportive of our conscious journey type podcasts. We do that. We send out something called a heart email most Saturdays that are just on the things that Joseph and I are talking about here, just the vision of what is out in the world. What are we doing on this conscious journey? How are we supporting each other? Those usually go out Saturdays. And then during the week, we've got all of these programs that we offer. You'll see in the master classes with Michael Beckwith, with Thomas Hubel, with Joan Borisenko, with Barbara Marks Hubbard, with Greg Braden, with Bruce Lipton, with Lynn McTaggart, with HeartMath, many. So you'll see all these master classes. They all have free master classes, and then they're pretty inexpensive master classes also that we offer. And we send out communications on the free programs, which is where we invite people to start, where we're doing these programs that are imparting lots of the kinds of things that we're talking about now, lots of valuable information regarding our conscious journey. And then where we have one of these free programs, say like with Thomas Hubel, that's on healing, or on Greg Braden, that's on the ancient wisdom of who we really are. We're not who we think we are. Or with Michael Beckwith and Panache Desai, where they get into this whole limitless nature. You know, I'm using a lot of terms here where I'm saying we're offspring of the divine, where we're princes and princesses of the divine. They get into this deeply, where they talk about our limitless nature. So where you go through one of the free programs, sometimes there's something that really, there's a string that pulls at your heart, where you say, I wanted this healing, this limitless nature, this ancient wisdom. I want to go deeper into that. And then we offer these inexpensive master classes. So, but go to humanitiesteam.org. just register or go to the Global Oneness Summit, Global Oneness Day site, register, and then you can be in touch. And we're offering just tons of value all every day and all year long. And we're here, to support you, so we can build a relationship with you and you with us.
It's beautiful, because everything that you've conveyed, it really is a case of providing people with the tools and the community, the guidance, and then just being present for each other in honor of each other, and acknowledging the truth of what we are, as you've been expressing and sharing, that we are of the one, princes and princesses of the divine. And so, in bringing it to a closing, I'd like to express my great appreciation for you sharing your wisdom and your knowledge, and of course, just the insights, the profound insights based on your journey, your personal journey. And I know that there was something that you wanted to share, a gift that you wanted to provide to the audience in relation to Humanity's Team. Could you share a little bit about that?
A little bit about what? I'm sorry, Joseph, I didn't catch that last part.
I know that there was a gift that you wanted to share to the audience. And if you could share a little bit about that, please. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. So I think the gift is, I've been mentioning all of these different master classes and free programs and things. Now, I created my own program on conscious leadership, and the free program is called Be the Inspiration, Be the Leader, Be the Change. And if you go to the humanitiesteam.org website, and then on the top where it says masterclasses, and go into the free and come down, you'll see that program. You'll see my picture. And this program now is getting into all of the attributes of just our own personal growth into conscious leadership, where we're supporting people all over the world, and where we can recruit people like this, and we can create a culture of people like this, and where we can just touch people all over the world through this kind of conscious leadership. So I think we're including that free link here as a gift, and invite you to check it out. There are 3 60-minute programs that are all free, and we cover a lot of ground, getting a little more deeply into these the personal dimensions of, for me, just becoming conscious, then starting to really come into the fullness of conscious leadership. And then the third segment is where it's just liftoff, with where we're working with teams that are all conscious, and it's massive, the impact that we can have all over the world. So we go through those 3 elements during the 3 free 1-hour segments.
Tremendous, tremendous. Well, I certainly know that the audience who hears this will certainly be directing themselves to the site, because it is, especially at this time, this is the kind of tool and resources which are required for people to be in a state of empowerment. And so absolutely, that is a treasure trove. And I highly suggest, of course, that people follow the inclination and the guidance that they'll be receiving to go to the site and experience those gifts. So yes, Steve, I'd like to express my appreciation again. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to speak with you, to share with you, and just to really enjoy your wisdom and your really practical, profound, down-to-earth knowledge and just way of being. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Thank you, Joseph, for having me, and viewers for spending a little time with us. And Godspeed to you, Joseph, to each of you, the viewers, and let's create this heaven on earth, this new humanity, this new earth, this Homo Universalis in our lifetime. Let's not have it go out lifetimes beyond. Let's do this right now.
Yes.
And do it together.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.